I love React as well as Vue.js, and I have built lots of projects using React for last couple of years, or maybe even 3 to 4 years. I don't remember exactly, but the thing is, Vue.js makes lots of things simple, which React doesn't. So this is not the video for fighting with the Vue.js and React developers. This is just for making sure that you know that there is a framework named Vue.js which can be used alternative to React if you just think that you just have to learn React. So without delay, let's just get started with this comparison video. First thing is, Vue.js doesn't overcomplicate things like React. In React, in order to create some kind of state and state management as well as some data fetching, you need to do lots of overcomplicated stuffs. Maybe using some hooks like use effect, and use effect will also have some kind of dependency inside it. And sometimes things doesn't work as you want it to work inside use effect. And usually, if you go to documentation, they'll recommend that you have to use some other library in order to fetch the data. By default, when we are trying to fetch some data, use effect is the go-to solution for it. And if not done properly, sometimes use effect doesn't work. Whereas in Vue.js, on mounted and all the other hooks are available, which you can easily use, and it doesn't work like use effect, but it just makes sure that whatever the name that hook is, the effect works at that particular point only. For example, if you use on mounted hook, that time when the components get mounted, it runs. And whenever you use something like before mount or something like on unmounted, that time it will run exactly at that time only. You don't have to overcomplicate it using something like dependency injection and some other conditional logic, which you have to do in React.js. And also things like state management and other things are not that much overcomplicated in Vue.js compared to React. Second thing which I want to discuss is Vue.js doesn't use JSX. Yeah, there are some configuration which you can do to make sure you can use JSX in Vue.js. But the thing is, I don't see any kind of benefit of using JSX in your project. Using JSX will just make sure that you are going to overcomplicate the HTML part of your website using JavaScript. So using something like conditionals and some form binding and all is very tough in React. But in Vue.js, there are so many directives which is available. For example, if you want to loop through something, you don't have to use directly map and like overcomplicate things. You can directly use v for and it will work directly in Vue.js templating syntax. Not only that, v if, v else and v if else, all these directives will help you to create whatever the conditional which you want to create. Also, form has a v model which will directly bind it to the state which you are using. No more overcomplicating the state management in Vue.js, just like how you used to do in React. So that's the useful feature if you are just beginner. But if you are already expert in React.js, so I don't see any problem to use it, because that's also fine. Because if once you are like familiar with state management and how does it work actually, you are fine to use it. But if you are somebody who is new, then I would highly encourage you to start with Vue.js so that you can easily understand these things in single page application like conditionals and handling the forms, etc. Another thing is app level state management is handled in Vue.js using Pinia, and this Pinia library is so much easier to use. Not only just easier to use, you just need one single store file to use some kind of store which you want to create. Example, if you want to create some store like counter, which is like normal example which everybody gives for state management, that time you can directly use that particular file in all the places wherever you want to use it, and it's just that much. You just call the function and whatever the state which you want to include in that particular file, it will be available in whatever the file you want to use it in. Unlike React, where you have to use context API and use reducer and maybe even overcomplicate things using Redux. So that's not really that much great idea whenever you are just getting started. And in order to explain somebody Redux, it's going to be very hard. And when they are actually using it, they are like so many things we have to do, even to do one simple API request, which will update some data in the app level state. So instead of overcomplicating it using Redux, you can directly use Pinia in Vue.js, which will be easier to understand as well as to use. So now again back to same question, like Vue.js or React.js. The thing is, if you already learned React.js, or if you are in the path of learning React.js, it's absolutely fine. You don't have to feel like I'm missing out something and jump into this. The thing is, whenever you want to shift into Vue.js whatsoever reason, you can do that with React knowledge also. It's not like that much hard if you have React knowledge to shift into Vue.js, and you can just try to use Vue.js for next upcoming project, so that you'll get to know that what and all is actually present in the Vue.js. Not only that, both are JavaScript frameworks, so in core you will be using JavaScript only. That's why like it's not like there will be some big shift. It's just that whatever the concept which you have learnt in React will be little bit easier to implement in Vue.js. I'm just telling that it will be easier. I'm not telling like it is like it will be directly implemented. You have to work on it in order to implement it. It's not like a framework like WordPress. So if you are learning React.js, just focus on it and learn it, then use Vue.js in the future whenever you can. But if you are like new to this JavaScript framework and you are confused between learning Vue.js or React.js, I would encourage you to learn Vue.js, so that you will understand that what and all things actually are there. Just build projects so that you will get knowledge of it. So once you are familiar with the Vue.js, then if company demands, or if you want to learn React or even Angular, you can learn it. It's not that much difficult to shift between these JavaScript frameworks. But I would highly encourage you to learn Vue.js, so that you'll be able to do things easily compared to like how much complicated it is in React.js. So that's it for this video, guys. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.